Getting back now to that fallout in Ferguson now, and tonight we will get our first chance to hear from Officer Darren Wilson. He sat down with ABC's George Stephanopoulos this afternoon for a lengthy interview, and you'll be able to hear part of that at 6:30 on World News Tonight. Right now, though, let's check in with Marcy Gonzalez in Ferguson. Marcy, what's being done to try to keep the peace there tonight?
Yeah, Allison, officials here have been meeting and trying to figure out exactly that. The governor had just finished a news conference. He says there will be about 2,200 National Guard troops stationed throughout the area, and that's a big increase from last night when he says there were about 700 National Guardsmen in 100 different locations. So definitely ramping up the security here and trying to learn some lessons from last night.
And Marcy, we mentioned this interview with George Stephanopoulos with Officer Wilson. Have we heard anything yet about what's come out of that?
Yeah, we know that Officer Darren Wilson said that he was sorry for what happened. He expressed sympathy to Michael Brown's family, but he also explained that he was following what he was trained to do, and he said that if he had this to do again, there is nothing that he would change about his reaction. But again, you can hear the rest of that coming up a little bit later on World News Tonight.
All right, Marcy Gonzalez live for us in Ferguson. Thank you very much for the latest.
Now, 8 of the top 10 trending topics on Twitter today in D.C. have to do with that Ferguson decision. It's also been at the top of Facebook and Google's trends as well. Kai Jackson standing by now at our live desk. He's been tracking some of that social media reaction. Kai, what are you seeing?
Quite a lot of traffic on this, whether it's Twitter or Facebook. We decided to look at Facebook, Leon, from our WJLA Facebook page. The flames of these fires have been extinguished, but there's still a heated debate taking place on social media regarding Ferguson and this grand jury's decision. Let's take a look here. Just 49 likes, 40 comments right now, just for one of the things we're talking about right now. And as we're seeing it, you've got questions about the grand jury decision. What we're asking is, what do you think about this, that the charges have been avoided? And here's what we're finding out. George says, well, I've never had faith in the judicial system, being a black man myself. That's his opinion. Carl says there are no further questions. Rule of law is spoken. Now those who are disgruntled with the rule of law are looting and rioting. That obviously a reference to what happened in Ferguson last night, and no one wanted to see that. It was very unfortunate. Moving on, we see from April. Hashtag truth, hashtag pray for peace. That's a refrain we're hearing a lot today. People really praying for peace. We heard a lot of that from stars and celebrities making posts today on social media. Laura says, sad situation for all involved, praying for peace and comfort. Once again, people praying for peace throughout this whole thing. Gerald says it's over. And so that's what we're hearing again, just a little bit from social media right now today, Leon. Missouri Governor Jay Nixon has formed what's known as the Ferguson Commission. This was done some time ago, even before this decision was rendered. It's comprised of a cross-section of the community in Missouri, and it's charged with releasing a report on the underlying issues raised by the unrest in Ferguson. That report is due out in September of next year, so we'll see whether that has any impact following this grand jury's decision. Allison, back to you.
Okay, Kai, thank you very much.